What role should credit cards play when you're retired? Is it an issue if you have a balance on credit cards when you retire? I've got new data as well as that issue, that more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Recently, overall credit card balances hit a record level, over $1 trillion, and record high interest rates. It's just culminating to, we have an issue, a challenge, where more and more of today's income is needing to go towards past expenses. And if it's going towards past expenses, it's going to challenge your ability to cover today's lifestyle, your present, as well as save up for the future. So this is not a great trend, guys. I would argue that record high credit card balances, it is inevitable. Things cost more. However, when you couple it with a few other factors, this definitely is appearing to be a problem. So the question is, how does this impact retirement? Are more and more people accumulating credit card debt even though they're in retirement? Well, check out the data here, recent survey from Bankrate, and it's alarming, okay? So 47% of consumers are carrying credit card debt over from month to month. So when you look at that overall $1 trillion of credit card debt, I mean, you could dismiss that and say, well, how many people that's their balance, but they pay it off every single month? Well, more and more people are carrying balances over. Of those carrying balances, 60% have been rolling them over for longer than a year in today's high interest credit card debt environment, compared to 50% of people in September of 2021 when interest rates were zero. And they're saying that the common culprit of these of credit card balances are emergency expenses. I would disagree with that. That might feel like the presenting problem, but likely it's because of inflation and other things that built that eroded your ability to pay off a credit card balance, and then all of a sudden emergency hits and you're not prepared. But take a further look here. If you break down, well, which age groups are carrying balances over, it's surprising to me that still over 41% of baby boomers, that is the generations that's either on the cusp of retiring or already retired, they're carrying balances over as well, 41%. So it begs the question, this appears to be a systemic problem. It's not just one generation, one group of people that are struggling with credit card debt. I mean, you'd look at this and say, well, maybe it's the younger generation, the Gen Z or the millennials, like new into the workforce or new with credit cards. Maybe they're struggling because they don't have a lot of income and everything costs more. No, this looks to be pervasive. It looks to be systemic. So therefore, what role should credit cards play in retirement? Is this 41% for baby boomers? Is that an issue? Okay, so there's two ways of looking at it, okay? And you've got to find out where you are or what camp you'd want to be in, okay? If you're carrying a credit card balance in retirement, there's one camp where I've got this balance on my credit card, but listen, I have enough in retirement resources to pay it off, where I could pay it off if I wanted to. So my retirement plan is on track, but I do have a credit card balance, and I'm doing so. It's basically a short-term loan. And if you're in that camp, you're either doing so intentionally from a tax planning standpoint or a liquidity standpoint, meaning I could take money out of my IRA to pay off my balance, but doing so would put me in a higher tax bracket. So I'll just continue paying for a couple of months, and then maybe next year I'll take a chunk out and I'll pay this off. So I'm doing it intentionally, or I've got a CD coming due, or I've got some income coming in from retirement, but I'm gonna pay this off later. Okay, so I've done the math. My retirement works just fine. I've got a credit card balance. It's not that big a deal. I'll pay it off later intentionally, or it's unintentional. I've got enough, my retirement plan works, but I'm a little nervous. I think it works. I don't know if I should take a chunk out of my IRA or Roth IRA or out of my retirement nest egg to pay this off. And because I don't know, I guess I'll just keep the balance, okay? I think that's one camp, okay? The other camp is, no, I'm not on track with my retirement. And And the fact that I'm carrying a credit card balance, that's sort of evidence that this retirement strategy is not working. First and foremost, you've got to find out, if you're carrying a credit card balance in retirement, you've got to find out which camp are you in. And the way to know that is building out that 5-factor retirement plan, working with your certified financial planner on, are you on track with retirement? Are you where you're supposed to be? And you've just got to address this credit card balance and what the right financial strategy is for that. Or are you off track? Are you off track? Working with your CFP to do that 5-factor retirement plan will let you know how confident your financial situation is, so that you can live through your life expectancy without the worry of running out of money. If that strategy, or if that plan reveals that no, you've got enough, you're okay. This is a little blip that's come up because of inflation or whatever, and then you can work with your CFP to say, well, should we intentionally keep this balance around, or should we withdraw some funds, and from which account and from which investment strategy to get this thing paid off? If that 5-factor retirement plan reveals no, you're going to need to make some adjustments. You're going to need to make some trade-offs here because you're not on track with retirement. Well, in that scenario, again, I would argue that it's even more important to work with the CFP if that's the result, even though that's not the result you're going to want to hear, because then they're going to help you figure out what adjustments you need to make. Maybe you've been drawing a certain amount out of your IRA and you need to withdraw less. And then they're also going to help you figure out, well, what strategies are even available for you to manage this credit card debt. You're not going to want to hear me say this, but should you sell other assets, downsize the house, that sort of thing, or sell a vehicle, downsize a vehicle, something like that? Should you, refinance the debt and stretch it out into a longer term loan at a lower interest rate? And you might say, never. Well, listen, if your credit card debt's at 25%, and yes, even though a home equity line of credit right now is 8%, I'd rather have you do 8% than 25%, right? And if you're in that situation where you can't pay this thing off lump sum or quickly, you're going to want to work with the CFP to figure out what your options are, and then you need wisdom. I mean, that's to figure out what your choices are, and then pick the very best choice of that of your options. So, what role should credit card debt and credit cards play in retirement? Well, I would encourage you. Did a video about this recently. I would encourage you in retirement to still be working that 3 bank account system. I would, and I know it's clunky, and I did a video about this recently about should you have an emergency fund in retirement? Should you use that 3 bank account system in retirement? Ideally, yes. Ideally, you should. Now, if that is at odds with a tax strategy that you're working or some of your income strategy, then you'll have to figure that out, work with your CFP. But ideally, you do, and therefore you don't have this stressor of credit cards. But at the same time, really the takeaway is make sure you stay up to date on your 5-factor retirement plan. Are you on track with retirement, or do you need to make some trade-offs? Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.